When the f are we gonna use that?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're talking about two-step equations. More importantly, how we can deal with two-step equations out in the real world. The best way to deal with real-world situations in the math classroom is to look at word problems. As much as they are a dreaded word, we're going to learn how to solve two-step word problems. When we interpret real-life situations through word problems, we need to look at the operations from a conceptual point of view. We can't just look at them in terms of keywords. We look at all operations as doing two things. They're either combining or they're grouping. Combining operations, we have two scenarios. Things are getting put together, things are getting taken away. For put together, we have two different size groups that are being combined. For example, John has $4 and is given two more. Different sizes being grouped together into one bigger group. How much does he have now? 4 plus 2 is 6. This is an example of addition in a word problem. The inverse of that is things being taken away. We have a big group and we take away unspecified, unequal amounts. She has 6 fish and 2 die. How many fish does she have left? We had 6, we took 2 away, now we have 4. That is subtraction. The other thing that operations do is they group things together. We have groups of and we have splitting into equal groups. With groups of, we take equal sized groups. So with putting together, they were different sized. With groups of, they are equal sized. So this could be things like reoccurring payments, hourly wages, things like that. Sets of, groups of. For every muffin he bakes, he makes $3. $3 per muffin. If she bakes 4 muffins, how much money will she earn? That's 4 sets of $3, $12. Multiplication. Splitting into equal groups is the inverse of multiplication, which we all know is division. We take one big group and break it into equally sized groups. Frank and Sarah are splitting 6 cookies evenly. How many will they each have? We have a total of 6 cookies split into equal groups. Multiplication takes equal groups and puts them together. Division takes a big group and breaks it into smaller groups. So this is when things are shared, split out equally. Now that we have an understanding of how to translate from English to mathematical language, we need to take that and apply it to a scenario. The first thing you do, and I hate that I have to say it every time, but the reality is some of us need this reminder. You need to read the word problem for understanding. Don't just skim it. Don't just circle all the numbers. Don't just guess. You need to read it. In real life, if you don't read the scenario correctly, you'll skip all the given information. You'll skip the operations presented to you, and you'll make a miscalculation in the real world. Word problems are practice for the real world. Jenny rented a bike from John's Bikes. It cost $10 plus $3 per hour. If Jenny paid $19, then she rented the bike for how many hours? You can do a couple things here. Take a couple of tips from English class. You can kind of annotate mentally, annotate all over the word problem, write things in, write thoughts in, or you can try to summarize it, retell the story. So I have Jenny. She goes to the bike shop. She pays $10 once and then $3 for every hour. I might annotate or think about that. Well, $3 per hour. That means if she was there for 1 hour, had the bike for 1 hour, it'd be $3. She had the bike for 2 hours, it would be $6. 3 hours, so I have an idea of where that's going. If Jenny paid $19, she paid a total amount of $19. Then she rented the bike for how many hours? That final question is what's being asked. That's going to become very important in a little bit. Once I've read it, summarized it, annotated it, understood what's actually going on, now I can move forward. I'm going to identify given information. You can circle your information, you can box your information, you can underline it, shade it, highlight it, whatever you need to do to identify. Here it is. It costs $10 plus $3 per hour. Jenny paid $19. Looking at these values, notice I didn't just circle numbers. I circled keywords and hints and context clues that might help me understand what operation's going on. It costs $10. Well, that's a one-time amount. That amount is not repeated. It's not equal size groups. To me, that sounds like addition. Plus $3 per hour. Well, I said earlier that if it was 2 hours, it'd be $6. 3 hours would be $9. So that to me sounds like multiplication times 3. If Jenny paid $19, that total amount, what she paid, what they spent, what they earned, that final total usually is connected to the equal sign. I'm just thinking as I move forward. I haven't even started to write my equation yet. So I've identified the given information. Now I'm going to label the variable. This is very important. The variable is the question. The variable's equivalent value is the answer. So I look at my final question. She rented the bike for how many hours? My variable's equivalent should answer that. Now you can use X, Y. I like to use letters from the context. I'm trying to solve for how many hours, so H is going to equal number of hours. Be very specific. It's number of hours. Now I know what I'm looking for. I have a variable to represent it in my equation, so now I can start modeling the equation. I have $10 plus $3 per hour. Well, the $10 is just kind of by itself. It's being added on. We're just putting it together. Plus $3 per hour. Well, I know it's $3. How do I say per hour? Again, per rates. That sounds like a multiplication situation. Per hour. Well, I know H is number of hours. So instead of saying 3 sets of hours, I could say 3H mathematically. I said that paid, final amount, total, all of those tend to hint at a value linked to the equal sign. So I have a total equation of 10 plus 3H equals 19. Just like we summarized and retold the story in our first step, try it again here. Does your equation tell the story? 10 plus 3H equals 19. I had a one-time fee of $10 plus $3 per every hour equals a total paid of $19. It retells the story. Now I solve. Include units in your answer. So solving process is very much the same. So I'll walk you through it step by step. I'm going to look at my operations that exist. According to the order of operations, I would multiply by 3, and then I'm going to add 10. So to undo that, I'm going to subtract 10 and then divide by 3. Take my first operation to both sides of the equation. 10 minus 10 is 0, leaving me with 3H. 19 minus 10 equals 9. My next operation is divide by 3. 3H divided by 3. 3 divided by 3 cancels to give me 1, my identity. So I'm left with just H on the left. 9 divided by 3 is 3. My final answer is not H equals 3. Look back at your equation. It says H equals number of hours. Again, take a hint from English class. Answer in a complete sentence. How many hours? 3 hours. Let's try a problem together. Start by reading the word problem for understanding, which means use your English tips. Summarize, annotate, think it out, speak it out, whatever you need to do to understand the word problem. Dan spent $18 on a magazine and 3 notepads. If the magazine cost $6, then how much was each notepad? So I'm trying to figure out how much each notepad is. I know that I spent $6 one time on a magazine, and I spent an unknown amount 3 times on a notepad. I spent a total of $18. I'm going to go through and circle my given information. $18, again, that's my total. 3 sets of notepads, which to me sounds like multiplication whenever I have equal sized groups or sets of something. And then a one-time fee of $6 that I spent. So that to me sounds like addition. That's amount that I added on to my bill at the store. I'm going to label my variable. To label my variable, I look at the final question. How much was each notepad? Well, each notepad cost N. I don't know what N represents. It's a placeholder right now until I set up my equation and go back and solve for what n actually represents. So now I know my given information. I've told myself the entire word problem. I understand it. I see the operations that are present because I understand it. Now I'm going to try to translate from English to mathematical terms. So I have $18 that I spent. That's my total bill. That $18 is made up of individual parts. I'm not adding to it. I'm not subtracting from it. I made it. It's my total. So that's going to be on one side of the equal sign. I have 3 sets of notepads. Well, the notepad costs N dollars. So if I have 3 sets of an unknown amount, I have 3 times N. I pay $6 for the magazine. I pay it 1 time. Many times, if you see an operation happen once, it's addition or subtraction. If it happens repeatedly, I kept giving something out, I kept buying groups of or paying an hourly rate. That information is multiplication or division. Now I go through and solve. I'm going to list my operations as they are listed in the order of operations. I'm multiplying by 3, then adding 6. So to undo that, I'm going to subtract 6 and divide by 3 in that order. I do my first inverse operation to both sides. 18 minus 6 is 12. 3n plus 6 minus 6 gives me just 3n, because 6 minus 6 gives me my identity of 0, which means the operations cancel. I'm going to divide both sides by 3. 12 divided by 3 is 4. 3n divided by 3 is just n. And again, it's a word problem. I can't have a final answer without a unit. If you are ever confused on what the unit should be, look at the variable. How did we define our variable? Cost of a notepad. Well, what unit would cost be in? It has to be some monetary or money-based unit. In the word problem, we're using dollars, so my answer must be $4. Always circle or box your answer when you're doing this much work. On your own, give the next problem a try. That completes our lesson for the day. Rate your level of understanding on each of today's learning targets. 0 means this makes no sense. 4 means you could teach the class yourself. If you don't feel like you've hit a 4, rewatch, review, and retry. Learning doesn't take place from bell to bell, so be sure to explore other explanations, ask questions, and use your resources until you've mastered the skill. Thanks for stopping by. Class dismissed.